What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of The Captain's Run. Welcome to all our listeners, however you're tuning in. SEN 1170 in Sydney, SENQ 693 Brisbane, SEN 620 on the Gold Coast, listening live on the SEN app. And don't forget to download the SEN app if you haven't already. And you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Or you can follow us via the Bloke in a Bar YouTube channel. So give SEN League a follow on Instagram as well. Huge show today. Look, rugby league, the greatest game of all. And listen, you know what I love about these little scandals? Look, they're just rugby league scandals, baby. No one's getting hurt. But they're just footy players doing dumb things. And I love that stuff. Like, we're not doing all this weird stuff these other sports are doing that actually has consequences and is just weird. We're doing just fun stuff like drinking toilet water. That's just good old-fashioned rugby league. Maestro, how you going, brother?
Not too bad, Kempy. Is that what made you pass out last week? Is that why you weren't with us? What? Can you fill us in? Like,
mate,
why were you missing?
Mate, seriously, got the influenza.
Oh,
so,
the proper one.
The proper one.
Not this COVID stuff.
No, the proper one. Listen, I would have taken the COVID stuff. I've had the COVID stuff. I was down at the beach when I had COVID. I mean, felt a bit dusty, but I was good to go. Bro, this one, it was influenza strain A.
Ooh.
And, apparently it's one of the more dangerous ones, especially for, like, kids under 5 and then older people. It was, like, since I started this, I've only missed one show, and it was with Smithy, and it was about 2 years ago, and I missed a captain's run because I had food poisoning. And so for the last nearly decade, I've never been sick enough where I've either not had to go or I've definitely never had back-to-back sick days. Bro, I couldn't even get out of bed the first day that it was. Like, I've never experienced anything like it. So maybe it was the man flu. Maybe it was the man flu.
Did you feel the love over the course? Because I saw a lot of social media. Like, you are such a part of people's week, right? When the Tuesday, the Wednesday don't come through.
Yes.
Like, the reaction was pretty astounding. Does it make you feel valued?
Well, okay, it just depends how the message comes across.
Right.
If it's, where the hell is the potty? Well, I'm dying in bed. It infuriates me. Whereas it's really nice when people say, hope everything's all good. Is everything going, like the podcast hasn't been released this week? You really do appreciate it. And also you realise, like, how important your role is, and not without sounding like a Derek or whatever.
I wasn't setting you up to do that.
Yeah,
but you are a big part. People are listening to you all the time.
Yeah, but also, like, you realise that you make people's days better. Like, and again, not because I'm some hero. Like, I just got lucky that people listen. And so, it's like it's a really important, privileged position in me to be able to make someone's day a little bit quicker. It might not be that much quicker, but, if the work is... Trust me, I've worked in above ground mines. I've worked as doing my electrical apprenticeship, so I know how long and boring days can be and monotonous. So if I can help it a little bit. Anyway, enough about me. We've got huge show today. Titans v Bears. The Gold Coast are threatening to sue our recruitment manager if they lose players to the expansion side. Newcastle begin finalising a shortlist for their next coach. Who's the best fit? Roosters v South in the news ahead of their massive clash on Friday night. Details emerged around South being kept out of Allianz Stadium, and Shibasaki dropped over discipline issues. The Broncos backline looks pretty scary without him anyway. And toilet water in the news. Why? Wildcard weekend, worth a look or not in our preview of the final regular season in the National Rugby League. And Horo will join us for the final hour. Text in 0457 736 736. I want to know, first of all, say who your team is, and then in the text tell me what you grade their season. So A+, A minus, B+, B minus, all that good stuff. I want to know what the general consensus is on each team. So I've just got a text here. Would you consider the Tigers season a pass mark? Absolutely, I would consider it a pass mark. I mean, you could say this about a lot of teams, but when you consider the Tigers have won 3 spoons in a row, if they had won 2 more games, they'd be fighting for the 8 right now. Like, just 2 games had gone their way. And I'm sure there are Tigers fans right now that can go to those games where they lost by 2 points or 1 try on the buzzer or whatever and go, mate, a couple of things that went their way, maybe injuries or whatever, they could be fighting for the 8. And so I think absolutely a pass mark. Absolutely a pass mark. Now, the big question will be, though, like, the Tigers got to where they are this year off. A lot of it would have been driven off, we're not winning the spoon again. Like, not again, 3 years in a row. The hard thing now will be, like, that's the standard that it's been set. So 11th, 12th, around there. Now it's about building on that. I don't think I think, obviously, I don't think fans will be too angry if they, come 10th or 11th again next year. However, there probably will be an expectation like, okay, so now that we're around the 11-12 mark, if we're not fighting for the 8 next year, we haven't made progress. So that will be the biggest challenge for the Tigers, is to back this kind of season up. But in regards to some huge news, well, let's talk about the toilet gate first, because I know it is although it's funny and it's not really a big deal, a lot of people are talking about it. Look, from a perspective of if you're a business and your star asset is doing silly things. Now, I just need to get some clarification, though. Did he post it to public social media or just to his mates?
No, it's the classic post privately, then it's been leaked out to the media.
Yes. First of all, Walshy, audit your mates, because they're a bunch of dogs who ever put that out there. But second of all, mate, who cares, bro? Like, if you think that that's the worst video you can privately send your mates, you don't have any mates, because I promise you, young mates have sent, when we were all younger, way worse stuff would have got sent than drinking toilet water out of a new house. Now, in regards to, like, the knock-on effect, like, yeah, I get it. Like, you don't want your main asset doing that, and, he is an inspiration to a lot of young kids. But as I said this on my podcast the other day, listen, if your young kid is on the internet, Reece Welsh drinking water out of a toilet is the last thing you need to worry about with weird stuff on the internet. Marsha, I'd love to get your thoughts, mate.
I just laughed because it's the sort of story only rugby league can throw up, right? When you think about some of the I saw a comment on social media this week, like, this is not in the top 100 of all time, like, rugby league scandals, probably even the last decade. I do, when you tie it in, it's a weird week for the Broncos. And I know they've got that big game on Thursday night, but the back of the Shibasaki thing as well, like, it just all adds up to, like, what is doing in some of the heads up there.
Well, mate, when I was young, bro, I wasn't thinking either. Like, what if I drank toilet water? Probably not. But, like, did I do a lot of dumb stuff, like, getting in fights and, just all that stuff that, because phones weren't as prevalent back then, we just got away with it.
Yeah.
Like, and I wasn't even a bad footy player in regards to, like, I was out there getting loose every single weekend, but I still did a lot of dumb stuff. Yeah. So I just think, if you're a bit older, think back to all the dumb stuff you did when you were a 22-year-old or 23-year-old. Add on to the fact that he's already a kind of out there character. Yes. Like, that is who he is. He moves to the beat of his own drum. So don't get me wrong. As I said, you don't want it to happen, but it is the last thing they need to be worrying about. Bit silly from Walshy, but I just see the funny side in it. Like, I mean, you've got to remember, there is a bunch of people, not all of them, I think most people think it's just funny, but, like, there are a lot of older people that are, like, 30 plus having a crack at Walsh right now that used to love Jackass. That, like, Jackass was the best movie ever. That's the kind of stuff they used to do.
Yeah.
So it's just, anyway, so it's not a big deal. Now, I think the bigger deal coming out of the Broncos is the Shibasaki dropping. Yep. Mate, I think I've just got so much admiration for Michael Maguire to having the guts to make this call. And not because I want to see a player get dropped, and not because I want to see Shibasaki not in the side, not at all. But when you're about to play for the top 4, and Michael Maguire would be more aware than anyone, if he finishes in the top 4, almost irregardless of how they go on finals footy, that's a tick. That's a tick from everyone at the club. That's a tick from nearly every single fan. They could go 4th and then loss, and I think most Broncos fans would go, you know what? With where the season was at, being a new coach, to be finishing in the top 4, that's a pass for me. And for him to still have the guts to do this, I just think that that's such good signs going forward, because I've always been a big believer. If you've got a set of standards, you cannot allow outside factors to change those standards. That's what makes the Melbourne Storm so great. Whether they're whether they're winning 13 plus or losing by 40 points, they expect the same standards out of their players. That's what makes them so great, because they refuse to allow their players to go, and this is coming off after a week where they didn't go well, but their greatness over the last 20 years is because we've all heard the stories of Bellamy. They win like 50-20, and Bellamy will be blowing up in the changing room. Why? Because it's not about the result or outside factors. It's about what are the standards we expect from players in this jersey, and that's what I like about Michael Maguire. He's saying, listen, yes, it is a season-defining game this weekend, and Shibasaki's been one of our better players all year long, but that he didn't meet standards, and we're going to send a message to everyone that these are the standards, not just for the start of the year when it suits everyone, not just for when we've got all this depth and it's going to be okay. For any time, if you're not going to meet the standards, you're going to be punished. And I actually think Shibasaki, it's good for him too, because like he's had such a crazy year. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in all the hype, and you made these rep sides and everything's going great, and you forget about what got you to the dance. And this is just a little clip across the years going, hey mate, don't forget what got you to this point. So I think it's really, really good from Matt. Shows a lot of strength in leadership to do it.
And it's an interesting one because this could cost Gemmett his spot in the team during finals. Dave Mariner coming into that position. He's had an up and down year, but has shown form that is good enough to keep him in that team. It's a competitive position at the moment across the Broncos backline. This could be a moment where you lose your spot and you don't get it back, even though you have been an Origin player this year. I'll ask you, Kempy, what do you think? You've already said the season's past, Mark. I tend to agree with you. What are your expectations, your hopes going into finals? Because if they can lock up this top 4 spot, they get a tough trip to GIO Stadium the first week. Then you're back at Lang Park for maybe week 2. What are you expecting? They can beat anyone on their day, the Broncos, but it's just which version shows up, right?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think it's a 50-50 call. If they play the Raiders, I give them a 50-50 chance.
Right, okay.
To be honest, the only teams the Broncos probably don't want to face in finals is the Storm and Penrith, just because they're too clinical. Whereas the Raiders, they can give you a bit of a sniff here and there. And I just think the Broncos, although the Raiders would be favourites, I just think they've got a team like the one asset that Raiders have over every single team is this incredibly explosive forward pack. I mean, if there's one forward pack that you could probably go toe-to-toe with them, it's the Broncos forward pack. And then you add into so on paper, let's say the forward packs the Raiders are a little bit better, and then the Broncos is just slightly not as good in the forward pack, but only by a little bit. I would say the outside backs in the Broncos are substantially better. And so that's on paper, though. It all has to come together, and that's what the Raiders have done so well. So I actually, the 4 spot, think about this. If they somehow, some way, just get an upset win over the Raiders, then they take someone up to Brisbane in a prelim, anything could happen at Suncorp. Look at all the Origin games. On top of that, I'm pretty sure Melbourne, if they beat Bulldogs, go to the other side of the table.
Correct. Then
the prelim, they could find themselves, like if Penrith gets somehow knocked out as well, they could find themselves against a Bulldogs, against potentially a Roosters, and like a Bulldogs or Roosters, I would give Broncos a fair opportunity to beat that. I'm not saying they'd be out-and-out favourites, but I don't think they're that far away from that they couldn't jag a win somehow, some way. So I just think that 4th, it really does increase the likelihood of them at least making a grand final. I don't know about winning the comp. I don't know if they can play 3 really, really good games in a row. But could they jag 2 good games in a row? Yeah, definitely. I think so.
What are you thinking in terms of the halves and how that's all lining up? Because Reynolds is set to come back in. They're obviously missing Ezra Mam. Are you one that's buying into the opinion that Reece Walsh is playing better footy with Ben Hunt as his halfback than he was with Adam Reynolds? Is that a direct influence?
Yeah, it's a tough one because it also... It's come at the same time that his knees stopped getting strapped.
Right.
So you don't know whether it's just because he's freer and his mind's more focused. I will say Hunt's verbal leadership is probably more suited to Walsh because Walsh needs a strong leader to go, mate, pull your head in and just stay on the, straight and narrow. However, Reynolds' leadership in regards to his play style is obviously it's going to be better at 7 than Hunt. But I do think that the idea that, maybe on the field they need to give Ben Hunt more of a vocal leadership so that he can pull the boys in. Because I just think that this young team, and it's hard for Reno because when he came into that squad, he had to walk on eggshells because if you go too hard at these young guys, they just shut down. But if you don't go hard enough, they take the piss. And so now that they've grown up a bit, Benny Hunt's coming in at a time where they're a bit more mature with this side. So they're probably going to react a little bit better to some tough love. And so I do think Benny's vocal leadership has been quite good. I do think that they can both balance each other, though. So Reno comes back into the side. He physically leads them around the park, like the kick and everything like that. But when they need a spray, Benny Hunt just picks it up, makes sure he gets on top of the boys. So, it's exciting to see that they're in this position, but they've got a huge task. I mean, Melbourne Storm, after a loss like that, Broncos struggle to beat the Storm at the best of times, let alone after a loss like that. So it's going to be a tough weekend. All right, we're going to head to a break. We've got 1,000 texts to get to, so keep texting 0457 736 736. Plenty more to talk about, including Titans v. the Bears. People threaten to sue. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Also brought to you by Grumpy Coffee, the best coffee in all the land. Go to grumpycoffee.com.au and get your Grumpy Coffee today. Get to your house in 24 to 48 hours and you will not be disappointed. Okay, got some text here. Kempy. As far as the Broncos off-field hijinks, doesn't matter which way you wax it, I ain't gonna shine. Broncos are gone. Okay. Can the Broncos beat the Roosters at home week 1 of the finals if they finish 5th? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll be a crazy game. But I think they've got the side to do it. It'd be probably a 50-50 call, really. Like, I'd be pretty confident they could go toe-to-toe with them, but can they play 80 minutes? Funnily enough, like, they both have similar problems. Roosters can't play 80-minute games. Broncos can't play 80-minute games, but when they click, they're as good as any side in the competition. So,
are you as high on the Roosters? Like, a lot of talk about the Roosters after the win against the Storm. Was that the Storm being bad or the Roosters playing above their level?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like, a lot of people have been hyping up this win when it hasn't shown me anything new with the Roosters. I've known that they can do this to any side. So I've always been a big believer that when they click, they're one of the best sides in the competition. But it's just a matter of, can they do that for 4 games in a row? Just like the Broncos, this season's evidence would suggest they can't do that for 4 games in a row.
Look at the Eels game a couple of weeks ago.
They got absolutely towed up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like the Broncos and the Roosters are very similar in the sense that you don't want to get them in a one-off game in finals footy. However, can they do that 3 or 4 games in a row? No, I don't think they can. So both quite similar. They've got great rosters on paper. It's just about putting it together. Hey, Campy, Sharks would be a past just. Haven't moved forward, but more importantly, haven't moved backwards. On Walsh, what's the difference between that and Todd's bubbler other than Todd got sacked? Matt from Brisbane. Well, I do think there's a difference between urine from your penis going into your mouth and drinking bath water that is basically clean water. I do think there is a slight difference. Maestro, do you think it's a difference?
I think it's a completely different apples and oranges.
Hey, Beacon Horror, if all teams in the finals could each choose one player from any club outside the 8 to join their team for finals, who do you think each would pick? If we got some more time, we might sit down and think about that one, mate. Thank you for the text. That's Jack from GC. Love your work, Kempy. Warriors fan here. I think some of the recent frustrations around ref calls is that it's been a super hard and tricky season with injuries. And honestly, we're looking for something or someone to blame for what has been a really stop-start season. With the benefit of hindsight from the breakout players' performance this year, how are you feeling about our chances next year and who do we go after in free agency? Mate, I'm extremely high on the Warriors heading into next year. And it's not just the guys that you have if you were at full strength. It's the fact that your reserve grade side has won like 13 in a row and is the minor premiers of New South Wales Cup. Like, there's never been a time when the Warriors have had this much go their way when it comes to the future-proofing their club. Like, it was only 2 or 3 years ago that they finally got juniors all the way down to under 16s. So I'm very, very high on the Warriors. I think it's a super brave year. I cannot wait to see this next generation come through. It's going to be super, super interesting to watch them play. So, yeah, I can't wait. Alrighty, Titans threaten to sue Recruiter if they lose players to Penrith. Okay. The Gold Coast Titans will consider launching civil legal action against their former recruitment boss, Ezra Howe, if they lose any player they want to keep to the Perth Bears. The NRL is investigating allegations Howe, touted as the man tasked with building the inaugural Bears roster, was unofficially working for the incoming club while still contracted to the Titans. In The Australian, on Sunday, Andrew Webster reported that Howe allegedly compiled a spreadsheet of up to 9 Titans players for the Bears to target, and that he was allegedly caught on audio messages telling players managers to delay re-signing Titans players. Targets reported including Tino, Carter Gordon, Sam Verrills, and Jalen DeGroot. The Bears have publicly stated they have not employed Howe, and the drama is likely to scupper his muted move to the new franchises. Howe has a long working history with Bears coach Mal Meninga from their time together at Titans and Raiders. Per Howe's laptop, this is how he wanted the Bears lineup to look in 2027. DeGroot, Fitzgibbon, Alan Fitzgibbon, Ido from the Sharks, Jesse Arthurs Broncos, Sam Stonestreet Sharks, Jaden Campbell Titans, Carter Gordon Titans, Nafahua White, Roosters, Sam Verrills Titans, Mariota Raiders, Laban Warriors, Thomas Cant Knights, and Tino from the Titans. Payne Haas was also included on the potential hit list according to Webby's reporting at a value of $1.5 million a season. Yeah, like, I've seen some kind of mixed responses to this. Like some people are like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's a big deal. Like, absolutely a big deal. Using that information allegedly, just having that inside information, it gives you an upper hand on every other club for one, but also it puts Titans in this incredibly vulnerable position because you could be played against because they know how much the guy's on or how much you were going to offer. So this is all alleged, obviously, but I just can't believe how, I guess, pedestrian's the wrong word, but like just how local footy this kind of is. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're talking about, businesses worth hundreds of millions of dollars or at least tens of millions of dollars when it comes to the Titans, whatever. And this kind of stuff's happening. Like this is any professional. This stuff is allegedly happening. Any official in a professional environment in any industry, not even just a sport one, but in any industry knows that you can't take company information and then go to another one. And if you're already working or not working, it doesn't matter what technically the start date is. It is so important that information stays with the company you are at. And that doesn't just go with footy. That's in every professional industry. That's why I can't believe how brazen this looks, allegedly, that it happened. Like, if this did happen, we don't know, it hasn't all been confirmed, the investigation hasn't given us the answer yet. But if it did, I just can't believe how brazen it all looks.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's the sheer number of players out of the Titans. Like, if there's one or two there, you go, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. You're trying to build a roster, and the Titans do have a lot of players coming off contract. But, yeah, this looks almost targeted, doesn't it? The amount of players that seem to be listed here. And I think the other little curveball that's thrown in this is that the Bears are owned by the NRL at the moment. So they are playing judge, jury and executioner on their own club, which puts them in a very difficult position. I think obviously there's no chance that Ezra Howe will end up as the Bears at the moment. And that puts Perth in a difficult situation if they're going to lose the guy they were lining up to fill this very important role, Kempy. It could put them on the back foot by months.
Oh, mate, the knock-on effect is crazy. Think about how scrutinised whoever does come in there is going to be targeted. Like, every phone call that bloke has, and that's the thing, like, as a recruitment officer, you don't want everything that you're doing scrutinised, but the NRL is going to have to.
Yeah.
And this is a problem with the NRL owning clubs, is exactly stuff like this where, the NRL knows everyone's wages. So the last thing you want is people to think an NRL owned club was letting this go, which they're obviously not, but I'm saying you don't. That's the scary thing about this prospect of what could happen here.
I think this was the first talking point when the Bears came in and it was announced they were going to be owned by the NRL was, okay, how are you limiting the knowledge that the people in that club have about what's happening elsewhere in terms of contracting and what players are getting paid? The Bears are, like, I worry now because, this is obviously going to affect how they're able to recruit for their opening roster. And the club needs to be successful from the word go, at least to the level that the Dolphins have been. And they're going to be hamstrung even further now. Mate, are you worried about the Bears?
I have, mate. I'm on record for a very long time. I am very concerned about the Perth Bears. They're like, I don't know how they're going to do it, to be honest. I really don't. It is going to be so tough. If the Dolphins struggled with Wayne Bennett and with $100 million in the bank, I mean, the Perth Bears definitely don't have that. I'll tell you that much for sure. They're probably going to come into the first grade as one of the least rich clubs in the NRL, period. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. Now, I've got some text here, guys. Kempy, what was your reward if you played a good game as a kiddie? Mine was a quarter pounder instead of the little cheeseburger. Mine was a 30-cent cone from Macca's. We go, Dad, we won state titles. Can we get something to eat at Macca's? All right, get your 30-cent cone. Don't calm down. That's all you're getting, guys.
30-cent cone.
30-cent cone. They're not a 30 cent anymore.
Now. Yeah,
no way. And we're like, Dad, we literally just won a state title, and you're giving us 30-cent cone. But no, good memories. Good memories. Another text here. Licensed plumber here. However, compared to Carney, Walsh needs a chin check. Imbecile. That's Dunny. So you think that Walsh deserves to be punched in the face because he sent a video of him drinking toilet water to his mates privately? Is that what you think? He deserves to be punched in the face.
I think he's calling out the bloke who did say that about Carney. Whoever, I think he's misspelled that. Whoever compared Carney to Walsh needs a chin check.
Oh, I thought it said however.
Dunny, one of the favourites.
Oh, okay.
One of the favourites of the station. I've got to step in and defend
Yeah, whoever.
him.
Yeah, okay. See, that makes much more sense because I was like, what the hell? Punch him in the face for a little bit of fun? But you're right, though. Like, the two things aren't, they're not even comparable. I don't think pissing in your mouth is the same as drinking toilet water. Oh, Rugby League, it's the best ever. Thanks, Daddy, for the message. Appreciate it, mate. We're going to go to a break. After break, plenty more to talk about, including who will be the Knights coach. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, the Knights. Last premiership winning coach, Michael Hagan, parachuted in his interview process begins in Newcastle. Hagan will join the club's subcommittee, which has been formed as the Knights step up their chase to secure their next head coach. They are expected to speak to candidates within the next fortnights. On the shortlist, reported by Code Sports today, current assistant Blake Green, who is said to have the support of the playing group. Roosters assistant Justin Horo, former head coach of the Titans, and Kangaroos assistant under Mal. The Knights have received permission from the Roosters to interview him. Dragons assistant Dean Young, formerly interim head coach at both the Dragons and the Cowboys. And other candidates slated were current Hull KR coach Willie Peters, who is set to join Kevy Walters' Kangaroo staff on Ashes tour, but has declared he's not interested in the Knights position. He's not interested, however, I think it's like he's not going to get involved in the whole, lead up of who's going to get there. But if they offer it, I think that he would be interested.
Which is interesting if they are going through the interview process, right? That is like a big caveat over that.
Yeah.
Come and get me if you want me, but I need to be your only target.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's like if you're the Knights, you're kind of like, well, what makes you... if we want you at this club, what makes you better than all these other candidates that we would just single you out and go, you've got it. However, I understand from his perspective, you don't want your name used as this bargaining chip and it just gets thrown around. And then you've got to answer all these questions at your current club and it just becomes a bloody, it's not good. So I get where they're both coming from. However, I think if you're a Super League coach, I just don't know whether you can probably go, you've either just got to have me as the one candidate and that's it. I don't know how. You have to be pretty dominant coach for that to happen.
I think Willie's going to have suitors elsewhere,
yeah.
even if he does miss out on this job
very
shortly.
For sure. So I can understand where he's coming from, though. Like if you're coaching imagine you're coaching a side and you haven't said anything, your manager hasn't said anything, but your name gets thrown into the mix. And you're like, I'm on the other side of the world. Yeah. And my name's just been thrown in without my permission. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a part of these headlines and I've got to answer all these questions. It's like, I'm trying to coach a side here. So I get where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from. In regards to who it should be, look, I understand the playing group back Green. That's good to know that they've got a good relationship with him. But I just don't understand this idea of promoting within when it seems like, it seems like it's stale. Like it's at that club, they need a fresh start. And also, like, Blake Green, he's relatively young and, he doesn't... If this next person doesn't work, then maybe you do go back to the well. But I just wonder whether taking someone from the current staff and making them head coach, how far removed are you going to get from the old system there? Now, granted, I understand that Adam O'Brien was the head coach, so he would be doing things that Blake Green may not agree with or whatever, but he's going to be on board. And Blake Green seems like he's a great bloke and a great footy mind. I just don't know, in regards to freshness for the players, when they're rocking up, and this shouldn't be the only reason you choose someone, but when they're rocking up for preseason next year, you want them to feel like this is almost a new team. And I just wonder, going internal, whether they'll do that. Now, there were reports that he's their attacking coach.
Yes, that's right.
And so the tough thing with that is, like, if you just look at that at face value, it's like, well, attack's been their issue all year. So, but you got to wonder, you can be an attacking coach, but you've still got to do what the head coach says. So you can put forward what you think should happen as an attacking coach, but the head coach might be like, nah, change this or do this. So, yeah, I think that Blake Green actually has the disadvantage of being part of even if he might be the best assistant coach ever, but I just think that maybe a fresh look, then let's say that fresh look doesn't work out and he's still at the club and he, the players still back him, mate, then you bring him in for sure. You bring him in for sure. I just think that serving more time as assistant coach, it couldn't hurt Blake Green. Holbrook, I don't mind. I will say, if you're just looking at, like, what coaches have been successful, like new coaches, honestly, all of them are the young new coaches. So you go, Riles has been successful, Webster, Serraldo, Payton, Fitzgibbon. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. But yeah, essentially all of these young coaches being given a crack have been successful. And so I think maybe Dean Young is a guy that you could look to, especially with I know Wollongong is different to Newcastle, but, they do have similarities in regards to they got, similar-ish kind of working class people.
And they're not big recruitment clubs. I know the Dragons have become that a little bit more this year, but they're growing from within themselves, right?
Yep. Yeah, and so Dean Young, if your idea is we want to connect back with the locals and get local juniors in, well, very similar to the Illawarra, for many years, they had so many locals and they just kept producing them from there. So there is similarities to a degree in Wollongong and in the Knights. So there is that. But hopefully they just land someone that can get them where they want to go. Because the Knights, when they're flying, there's almost nothing better in rugby league.
You look at their crowds this year, even as poor as they've been. Like that community, and that was one of the big bugbears of mine about Adam O'Brien as the pressure began to build, and I think he recognised that on his way out. The criticism of them at that stage is just like, how can you have a go at this fan base?
Yeah.
They are so loyal. They are so invested. They're so passionate, knowledgeable. Like, there is so much to work with there up in Newcastle. You see why it's an attractive job.
Oh, mate, absolutely. And I think that was not the nail in the coffin, but the final bit of evidence that you needed to see that they had become disconnected from their fans. Because I feel like, although I'm sure the Knights do some stuff for their community, I just think, for example, Penrith, they're so tight-knit with their community. I just don't think that you'd ever get to the point where you feel like you would say that about the community. And so, I feel sorry because it's it was this one sentence that we just hold against him, but it was a pretty silly thing to say.
I think he recognised it as well, Kempy.
Yeah.
After he said it, it was said out of frustration and coming back to win that game. They were so superb in the second half. And I think looking back at that, he'd have those comments back.
You know what he was... I don't know what he was thinking, but what I think he was thinking, I don't think he was thinking about these are the fans of the Knights.
Yeah.
I think he was just thinking a random bloke in a pub is telling me, and to be honest, a lot of random blokes in the pub don't know anything about rugby league, And so that's where I think his head was, rather than it's the Knights fan base that literally pay every single week, whether they win, lose or draw. They got one of the best averages in the whole competition. Like them specifically, they know enough where they're willing to spend their money on the game. So I will say I thought that Adam O'Brien handled the press conference really well.
Yes.
And I said this on my show on Monday, but okay, did it end well? No, it didn't end great. It didn't end great. But you got to remember, this bloke took this team from a basket case to, what was it, finals footy 5 out of 6 years or something like that? Something like that. You just like in anything, the world isn't black and white. It's grey. It's somewhere in the middle. Was he the greatest coach ever? No. Did he do a bloody good job to get the team to where it is, not necessarily today, but where it's been for the last few years? Bloody oath he did a good job. Bloody oath he did a good job. So I hope Knights fans just remember the good stuff that he's done for the club, as well as obviously the negative stuff. But who do you think will be the next coach of the Knights?
I think it's between Blake Green and Justin Holbrook. You talk to people inside the game, they have such high regard for Holbrook, and his stocks, given how the Titans have gone this year, has just raised week on week. What he was getting out of that squad compared to what another experienced premiership coach in Des Hasler was able to get out of them. I think his resume is there to see. He's been working with Robbo at the Roosters, who speaks of him so highly. I think he'd be my pick if I'm sitting there as Peter Parr at the moment.
Listen, I've always been a big fan of Holbrook. I really have. I don't think he ever got enough credit at the Titans for. He understood that that playing group was not going to respond to old school, Melbourne Storm style, not current Melbourne Storm, but old Melbourne Storm gritty stuff. He understood this playing group need to be a bit willy-nilly, need to be free-flowing, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. He often got slandered for it,
we're playing Toyota Cup.
It's just passing all the time, and they just want to outscore their opposition. I think Holbrook was just that's the kind of player I've got. I've got to. Otherwise, we can go out and try and be Melbourne Storm, but we're just not good at that. So I wouldn't mind seeing him get another opportunity. And look, the Broncos attack the Roosters attack when it's firing is absolutely amazing. So just before we go to a break, Ben speak. On the Newcastle coaching issue, I truly feel they're waiting to see what the general public to make the decision for them. They leaked the Blake Green and Justin Holbrook options to see how everyone responds. To be fair, both come with baggage. Newcastle attack is woeful. Green is the attack coach. Holbrook wasn't great at the Titans. I think the club is petrified to stand their digs and make the right decision, and rather than make the popular one. Just my 2 cents. They need a strong figurehead, the Port Stephens Panther. Yeah, that's fair, mate. I really don't hope that they're letting the public's response to candidates sway their decisions. You're right. They need a strong leader that's willing to go, we are going to give this person, whoever's coming in, time to build the culture they need. Because when you look at the Knights' last 20 years, it's been good they've made finals, but, mate, they haven't come close to a premiership since 2001.
Yes, 2001.
They haven't come close to a premiership. So they need to blow it all up and start again, in my opinion. All right, going to head to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Got a bunch of texts here. Hi, boys. Do you think Sandon Smith will sign with the Knights if Holbrook is coach? I don't think so, because, at least according to the last report, the Knights think he is a 9, whereas the Cowboys see him more as a 6. So I think that's more his, what will sway whether he signs or not, is the fact that I think he wants to play 6. Afternoon, Kempy, on the Knights coach next season. I know there's starting to be a list of potential candidates. What's your thoughts on hiring John Morris? He's from the area, and I thought he did a great job at the Sharks, where he had restrictions in recruiting. He bloated so many juniors. Junior Smithy. Yeah, it's not a bad shout. I mean, I thought he was pretty solid at the Sharkies too. Didn't set the world alight, but he definitely wasn't bad either. And you're right in regards to when you look at the Sharks, they're a small club. I don't think people give them enough credit for it. They are a small club with not many resources. And so especially when John Morris was there, because I'm pretty sure he had salary cap, penalties from obviously coaches before him. So yeah, mate, that's not a bad shout at all. Not a bad shout at all. And he's been serving his apprenticeship for quite a while as well. Arvo Kempe, Knights fan here. Our season's rating, E-. Wow. E-. Dunny, he said, spelling is not my strong point, Denham. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Hi, Kempe. In regards to the Titan situation, did this guy do all the contracts for these Titan players when they began? If so, he would know what they were on per year and contract deadline clauses. Yeah, J-Dog Augustine Heights. Yeah, so he was the head of recruitment. So he would know everything about all the contracts. That's what makes this so. If it did happen, this allegedly happened. That's what makes this such a big story, because it's he knows. You've just got to be so careful. If you have that information, you've got to take so many steps to show that you are not using it to your advantage, so that everyone feels comfortable. So yeah, it's just a crazy, crazy time. Question for Kempe: If Mitch Moses was in Penrith team the last 4 years instead of Nathan, do they still win them premierships? I don't think you could take away from Nathan. By saying, if you could slot Mitchell Moses in there, they would do it. I don't think you could take away from Nathan Cleary. For example, that final against the Broncos, only Nathan Cleary could do what he did. Maybe 2 of them they would have won, maybe. But we just never know. What we do know is Cleary did it. All right, we're going to head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We're here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money at Chemist Warehouse. All righty, let's have a look how the ladder has basically ended up. So obviously got Raiders in 1, Storm in 2, Bulldogs 3, Broncos 4th at the moment, but Sharks and Warriors can still make the top 4. Then you've got Panthers at 7th. You've got Roosters at 8th. And then in regards to the rest of the table, well, I mean, we can speak about it a little bit, but that top 8, who would have thought, hey? I guess what's scary for some of these fringe sides is that if you haven't made a lot of improvement off the field heading into 26, there are some big, big names or big, big teams out of the 8 right now. So Dolphins have been decimated by injury. When they're full strength, they're going to be better. The Eels are going to be better next year. The Rabbitohs are going to be better next year. The Dragons are definitely going to be better next year. Even the Cowboys. So that's what's so exciting heading into next season is a lot of these bottom 8 sides, aside from only a couple, for example, Knights are going to be interesting to see what happens there. That we're still unsure who's going to be the coach. And then you got the Kalen Ponga and Dylan Brown situation. Titans, they're going to be in the depths of a rebuild. West Tigers, you would say they're probably going to be better for the run. Sea Eagles, they're losing DC. They get Fogarty, but, I wouldn't say they're getting better. Maybe around the same for next year. But everyone else, Eels definitely getting better. Rabbitohs when they get their team back. Cowboys, that's another one. that we're not really sure what will happen next year. And so that's the scary thing if you don't make improvement next year is you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. Now, in regards to the top 8, it's interesting because, it's interesting how quickly we get used to things. So, for example, the Bulldogs. A lot of Bulldogs fans feel a bit impatient at the moment, a little bit frustrated with where they're at. And I understand it. You're sitting first, and then the back end of the year you make changes, and now you're third. So I get it to a degree. But I've got to say, if this is the second year, I'll say third year, but it's essentially the second year since that just diabolical first year. But third year of a full-on clean out of everyone, rebuild, where you're still paying some people their contract. To be sitting third, even if they go loss, and they don't win any finals games, the Bulldogs have come so far. If you go back and look at that top 100 list of people being paid, the Bulldogs only have I think it's 2 players, maybe 3 on over 600K, and they've got no $1 million players. So if you're already sitting at 3 at that, what are you going to be like when either your juniors come through and start to develop, or you can go out into the market recruit? They've got Leo Thompson arriving next year as well. I just think that if you're a Doggies fan, I understand when you're in the moment, you're like, we should be able to win it all. We were sitting first for a lot of the year. But just take a bit of a step back and go, look how far we've come and how much better we're going to be next year and the year after that. It's the age-old thing. But I think Doggies fans have just got to stay patient. They just got to stay patient.
What do you think of their halves combination going forward? Because Galvin's obviously come in there, taking the 7 jersey off Sexton, who's departing. Is that the long-term way forward, or are you still thinking they're looking at him as, say, a lock? He's not going to take the 5/8 role with Matty Burton there. Do they need to go in the market and recruit?
No, my honest opinion, and I've said this for quite a while, I reckon that their long-term plan is Wood and Galvin in the halves, right. And I think that they probably feel that Burton's going to price himself out of the club. And I wouldn't be surprised if you find Burton goes to a new club in his new deal.
Right.
I think that's what they're kind of setting up to do.
That's interesting.
Look, things can change. Things can change, but because I've never bought Galvin as a 7.
No.
He can be a stopgap 7, but he's an out-and-out 6. He's so much a 6, he's nearly a lock. Whereas Mitch Wood, mate, he was signed on a 3-year deal 2 years ago or something. So he was 2 years away from first grade getting these long-term deals. They have huge, really high hopes on Mitch Woods. And so I actually think that their long-term plan is a Woods-Galvin combination. Now, does that mean maybe Burton could play 13? Potentially. But I think they're looking at it going, look, we've got Woods coming through. He's probably on 400-500K. We've got Galvin on, let's just say, 600-700K. Burton's next contract, he'll probably be demanding around 900K, I'd say. Maybe even $1 million to certain clubs. And I think they're probably looking at it going, do we feel Burton is worth $900 to $1 million in our current roster? Maybe not. I will say, though, I understand, Burton's been at the Bulldogs for a while now, but every time he has gone to either a really good side or a rep side, he kills it.
Yeah.
And so I think he'd be the perfect signing for a club that's already sitting kind of top 4 that needs a really good ball running 5'8", because he's I feel at times we forget how good he is in big games,
And Mal's always talked about his versatility as well. When he took him away on those Kangaroos tours, he was playing him in the centres, he was throwing him all over the field, and he was still producing.
Going well.
Did he start his Blues? He started
Centre.
his Blues career in the centres as
went
well.
well.
So, yeah, I like that thought. Bringing it back to this year, where do you have them in the market, in terms of your list of favourites to win the premiership? Because the market has them 4th at the moment behind the Panthers. Storm and Raiders are the standout favourites. They've earned that through their top 2 positions this year. But the competition, as I so often spoke about, to wander into cliche, it's such an open comp. But where do you have the Bulldogs sitting? Has the market got it right? Are they the 4th favourite?
Yeah, 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
4th or 5th. Now, the worst I could see them is maybe 6th.
Okay.
So I could go Panthers, Broncos, and maybe Roosters on their day.
Okay.
I've still just got a lot of questions. I understand bringing Galvin in, and it's a long-term play. I get all that. What I'm just not understanding is the Marnie Hayward situation.
Yeah.
Now, I said this earlier in the week, but I don't reckon there'd be a single coach right now in the NRL that if they had a grand final tomorrow would select Hayward at 9 over Marnie. Now, obviously, there's more to rugby league than just the next game. So I understand the long-term ramifications of. I agree with the Bulldogs' decision to go, Marnie, go get your paper. Haywood's our guy for the next 5 to 10 years or whatever. However, I just don't think they needed to make this call immediately. Like Haywood was playing so well at 14. Marnie was doing his job. And I don't know why you carry Marnie at 7 on the bench. He's not a bench impact player. But if you're so desperate to carry them both, you can. You go Marnie to start, Haywood at 14. And so what I'm not understanding with Ciraldo's decisions is like to make 2 changes to your spine. That's 50% of your spine. If you're changing your 9 and your 7, like that's huge changes to do before going into. If you're just changing your 7, I can kind of get around it because that's just 1/4 of your spine. But if to change half your spine, that's already an inexperienced spine that hasn't played much together. I mean, Connor Tracy only this year has really fallen into that fullback position. Oh, sorry, the last 2 years. But like for many years, he wasn't even a fullback. He was a utility. Burton's form is really picked up. There was a year where it was a bit quiet. So that's an area where I'm a bit surprised with the Doggies that they've made such big changes in key positions so close to finals footy.
And once you get to finals, you talk about there's more than the next game. There's not once you get to finals.
Nah.
Like that's it. What do you think he'll do? Do you think he starts Marnie for that first week?
No, I think he's made his decision. He's going to stick with it. Yeah.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on the Marnie Haywood situation?
No, I completely, without wanting to completely agree with you, that I do. I think Marnie is the win now guy.
Yeah.
And the fact is the Bulldogs have been there and they're going to be up there, and I understand all of that, but you've got a chance to go to Melbourne and beat the Storm are beatable down there.
Yeah.
They've shown that this year.
They nearly beat them this year.
Exactly.
Recently.
Exactly. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Did they have to go down there? They probably produced the performance that showed, hey, we can be competitive with this team down here, and it's still confidence without winning that game. So, I think, strike while the iron's hot. Stick him in there.
As I said, I totally get looking for the future, but at the same time, what's going to be better for the future? Going deep into finals or giving Haywood an extra couple of games? And look, maybe they're not mutually exclusive. Maybe you can get both done, but just so many changes. I don't know many coaches that would go, let's change my 9 and 7, 5-6 weeks heading into
the only argument I could potentially look at is you look at the blueprint the Roosters put down over the weekend. I know there's players out, there's no Harry Grant, that sort of thing, but is Haywood better suited to playing a quicker style of footy, getting service to the guys earlier, or not really?
Not really. Like Marnie's
underrated in that sense.
It's not underrated, but like I don't know if it was intentional, but like ever since this decision to move from Marnie and Sexton, there's been this like undercurrent that they are the problem, and it's almost as if they're trying to justify so they don't get any backlash for the decision. But like. They were going great. They were going fine. Like, were they? Look, you could look at their wins and losses and go, okay, have they beaten top tier sides? Yeah, okay, we could get nitpicky if you wanted to. But like, I've never been fully like. If the argument is they need different players in key positions to take that next step, I can have that chat. Like, I can I can see that. Like guys that just have a little bit of a tier above them when they get to their peaks. But if the argument is the problem at the Dogs was Marnie and Sexton, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. Like, especially Marnie. Like, this guy's played in grand finals. He would have got selected for Origin if he didn't get injured. He's played at least 50 to 80 good games as a 9 in the NRL. How many good games has Haywood played in the NRL at 9? Like, what, maybe 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just... And look, I get the argument of, he gives away penalties every now and then. Still, he's one of the better hookers in the competition. He's obviously not in the top tier, but he's definitely just below it. And so that's what I just think it might be too many decisions too soon. However, I still do back Ciraldo. I'm still a big believer in Ciraldo. And look, if in the next couple of weeks they win a bunch of games, you guys know I'll come on here and go, mate, Ciraldo's done it again. He's done it again. He's proven me wrong. I got it wrong. But at the moment, I'm just a little bit surprised at all the changes. Okay, got some other teams here. Sharkies. Mate, Sharkies for me, look, I know it hasn't been the year that everyone thought of at the start of the year because they got Adam Fanor-Blake and now they're premiership threats. But I swear, for the size that they are as a club, how much negative press they get, it's so out of proportion. Like, they're sitting 5th right now. They're 1 win away from making the 4. And so that Fitzgibbon's record will be like 2nd, 5th, 4th, or 4th, or something like that. As a new coach in one of the smallest clubs in the competition, like the Cronulla Sharks are one of the smallest clubs in the NRL. I just think people are they expect, like they they expect too much from the Sharkies at times. Now, granted, I know that the standard has dropped a little bit. I don't think the Sharkies are sitting there going, this is what we hoped the year would be. Like, I think a lot of the Sharkies are sitting there going, we want it to be in the top 4 all the way in, and we want it to be a premiership threat. I don't think they're a premiership threat, so I don't think it's an A+ year. But if you read the headlines, especially mid-year, you would have thought that the Sharkies were having a D- year. I'd probably put them at a B-, C+ this year. I think it's definitely a pass mark, the Sharkies.
I tend to agree on that point. The one missing thing in their resume is the same thing that it has been for the last few years. And I know they've taken it closer to some of the top 6, but their record against them this year, 1 win, 5 losses. And that only win is against the Storm at home, which is a great marker in the ground. And, hey, we've done that. But they still look short of being able to do damage in finals.
I'll tell you this. Out of that top 6 right now, all at full strength, they probably have the 6th best side.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why with the Sharkies, like, this idea that they've just got this gun roster, like, they don't have any Origin players. They've got no Origin players. 0, zilch. And so, yeah, like, you know, they're kind of where their roster suggests they should be at, kind of thing.
I think you're predicting what's going to happen over the next week as well, because if they lose to the Roosters, you know what the reaction is going to be.
Yeah.
If they lose to the Roosters first week of the finals at Shark Park, with all the commentary around that ground at the moment as well, like, they're easy to have a go. I guess
That's
we're punching down a little bit, aren't we?
They're an easy target.
And they don't make news when they are going well.
Yeah, like right now, they're a win away from a top 4. That's a great finish. Like, put it this way, if the Broncos make the top 4, we're all sitting here going, yep, good year. Look at the Broncos roster compared to the Sharks roster. It's like night and day. Like, don't get me wrong, the Sharks have a good, solid roster, but it's not as good as some of these top-tier sides. I think the one weakness for the Sharks is there's not enough competition for spots, especially in the forwards.
Yes.
I think a weakness compared to other teams is, like, they just haven't seemed to manage to develop some really good young forwards coming through. Like, I'm trying to think, like, the big fella that comes on, like, they've been slowly fading him in. But outside of that, like, when you compare it to some of the young forwards that Broncos have coming through, or the Panthers, or the Roosters, it's just the juniors just aren't on that same level at this stage currently. And I think that's probably what's holding them back a little bit from developing and taking that next step to be a top-tier side. But, yeah, so I guess we'll see. Warriors, I've already spoken about them earlier, but I just think they've been so brave. So brave this season. Panthers, they're definitely a premiership threat. And, yeah, Roosters, if they can put it together, they're going to be hard to beat.
Who's your favourite? At this stage, as we sit here
Storm.
a week out. Storm?
Yeah, just because I've seen them the best in the comp in attack, and I've seen them the best in the comp in defence. Like, they're the one team out of every single team here that can make the claim they're the best attacking side, but they're also the best defensive side. Every other team, like the Raiders, they are right now, so points for 630, which is less than the Storm, and points against is 444, which is probably third or fourth or something like that. You've got the Dogs, who have great defence, but they also have not so great attack. And yeah, so that's why I look at the Storm and I go, you could make the claim that they've had moments in the season where they've had the best defence in the competition, and they've definitely got the best attack in the competition. We're going to head to a break, and after the break, plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We're here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions to save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Okay, Sports Minister says Accor Stadium best for the Bunnies. The New South Wales government has doubled down on its refusal to let South Sydney out of its long-term deal at Accor Stadium and return to Moore Park, citing data detailing the Rabbitohs' vast fan base in the city's west. South will complete their season on Friday night against fierce rivals, the Sydney Roosters, at the $828 million Allianz Stadium, which the club wants to move to after 2 decades at Sydney Olympic Park. The state government rejected their request to get out of their contract to play at Accor, which runs until 2030, saying it would cost between $20 and $70 million over the remainder of the deal in commercial revenue. In a letter from Sports Minister Steve Camper to Sydney City Council Mayor Clover Moore, Camper said, "I'm aware of the strong support the Rabbitohs have in Sydney's southeast. I'm also aware that the team's popularity extends far beyond as a result of nearly 20 years of home matches at Accor Stadium, the site of their 2014 NRL Grand Final win. Indeed, the club's own membership data shows that as matches were moved west, fans followed. Publicly available Rabbitohs membership demographic data shows that in 2015, more than 20% of the club's membership lived west of Accor Stadium. Further, 22% of Rabbitohs fans that lived from Strathfield through to Liverpool and Campbelltown, 16% in Hills District, Parramatta and Greater West, 20% in the inner west or south east, such as Hurstville and Menai, 16% from the Central Coast, Illawarra, other regional areas, and 10% in Sydney's eastern suburbs, including Randwick, Coogee, Maroubra and Botany. It's just one of those decisions, Camper told Parliament hearing last month. As a minister, you've got to make the right decision for the state asset base. So is he saying here's data that shows they've got fans out west, therefore they should play at that stadium?
Exactly the argument they're using, Kepi.
Okay, hey, bro, have you gone and watched rugby league there? I promise you, people that live out west want to watch the rugby league at Allianz Stadium. What a cop-out. It's just a cop-out. Why don't you just say, we're going to lose $70 million revenue. That's why we're not changing it. This utter nonsense talk. Like, just be honest. They don't want to lose money. That's simple.
That last comment really, gets under my skin. We've got to do the best thing
for
the state asset, mate.
Yeah.
What about your constituents, Mr. Camper?
It's craziness.
What about the footy fans that are paying taxes to go into this new stadium and want to go and watch footy there?
Yeah, it's just insane. And also, the stadium that you're defending and the people that voted for you and voted for everything to go ahead, you didn't fulfill your obligations. You didn't fulfill your obligations that you promised the Rabbitohs. You know what I mean? It's not like the Rabbitohs are turning around and going, we just feel like going somewhere else because we couldn't be going out there. Upgrades were promised and you didn't deliver. So this idea that you care about your constituents or whatever, it's like you didn't deliver your upgrades. If you gave if everything went up as agreed to between the Rabbitohs and the government, the Rabbitohs would have no leg to stand on and they'd still be there. But it's because you didn't do what you said you were going to do. That's why we're in this mess.
And wait for the Roosters text messages will come in.
Of course.
I have no doubt here. But what I will say is, even though they signed that contract, you're right, it was on the understanding that Accor Stadium would be upgraded. The argument they put to the Rabbitohs at the start of all of this was they needed content in Accor Stadium. They didn't want them to go back to Allianz so they could justify the spend on Accor Stadium, only for them to go on and not make the spend.
Yeah, mate.
It's unreal. I'm looking forward to this game Friday night, though. Cam Murray coming back in.
Great.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be so good. So good. But yeah, this idea, trying to spin it like he's doing everyone a favour, it's like, mate, come on, bro. Just be honest. The thing is that even though I don't agree with it, I can understand where the government come from. That's a lot of money. $70 million, I get it. You don't want to be losing that amount of money. I get it. However, trying to spin it well, actually, this is what the people want. I know the Rabbitohs and all footy fans, I know you think you want to go to Allianz Stadium to watch the footy, but it's actually a core stadium you really want. That's what the data shows. Yeah. It's okay, bro, come on, man. And I know Roosters fans, they like to defend it, but bro, the Broncos have way more history with Lang Park than Roosters have with Allianz Stadium. And yet the Broncos share that stadium with everyone, with the Dolphins, with literally a new club that was brought in 2 years ago that has no history in the NRL, has no right to be there, but the Broncos share Suncorp Stadium with them. So, but you can't, as Roosters fans, you can't share a stadium with the Rabbitohs. It makes no sense to me.
I couldn't agree more.
It just makes no sense. Do you understand how much better rugby league would be if they were both, at the very least, if we just let the Rabbitohs have 5 or 6 games there a year, the stories that would come out of that, the matches, it would be, as a Roosters fan, what I'm not understanding, if you're a Roosters fan that are against them being at your stadium, what do you lose? What do you gain by them not being at the stadium? And what do you lose if they do go to that stadium? You lose nothing other than the right to say, that's our home ground. That's the only thing you lose. Unless there's something that I don't know about, but the only thing I can think of is Roosters fans get to say that this is our home ground and no one else's. Other sports play there.
Yeah.
It's just, mate, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Got some text here, guys. Here we go. Got October 2020. New South Wales government abandons plans to upgrade Accor Stadium at Homebush. November 2021. South signed contract extension to remain at Homebush till 2030. However, I know you're drinking the Kool-Aid here, bro, because, again, there are the adjustments, and we've actually got Matty the Waterboy here. He knows the details like the back of his hand. There were, in those adjustments, there were promises made to get them to extend that deal. So I know it's easy to just go, this contract was signed here, but that's not how it all worked down. Let's say what you're saying is true, Josh, that's seen that through. there's not a single person that would be on the Rabbitohs side, or not a single reasonable person, if it was purely the truth of exactly what you're saying. They abandoned to do the upgrades, didn't promise anything, and then the Rabbitohs extended. Like, the Rabbitohs would be laughed out of the conversation. The reason why this is hanging around is because there's more details to this. It's more complicated. Things were promised. Matter of fact, find me if you can find me a quote from an official that was in this deal that says that nothing was promised to the Rabbitohs, then I'm happy to come in and say, you know what? Nothing was promised. But I haven't found a quote. Have you ever seen a quote from a government official saying nothing was promised to the Rabbitohs?
No.
You can't, because it was promised. It was promised. Okay, another text here. Kempy, you're not making sense. The Roosters have played within 200 metres of Allianz Stadium for 120 years. What do you mean I'm not making sense? The history of the Broncos in Lang Park is like, it's known as the Mecca of rugby league. Like, Suncorp Stadium, whether you're a New South Welshman, a Queensland, or whatever, is known as the Mecca of rugby league. And the Broncos have a huge reason for that. Allianz Stadium, we don't call that the Mecca of rugby league. We don't even, it doesn't even get ranked in this.
It should actually be held in higher esteem.
It should be, yeah, I'm with you. It should be, but it's not. It's not. Whereas Suncorp is literally seen as this absolute Mecca of rugby league, and the Broncos have are a huge part of that. Whereas, like, if you were to put it this way, let's say you brought someone from overseas that loves rugby league, and they said, I want to see the stadiums, what would you say? You wouldn't say Allianz, I bet you. You'd say Suncorp straight away is where you got to go and check out, because that's got all this history, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, with that out of the way, we're going to go to a break. After a break, we're going to get to all your texts. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Got a lot of texts here. Kempy, or Campy, you sound like a Queenslander. That is true. Lang Park, what an old shithouse. And then just a few texts about the length at which the Roosters have been playing close to or at Allianz. Again, the length of... So I guess with that argument, you're saying there's a certain amount of length of time that you can have played somewhere, and that gives you the right to stop anyone from being, that's what stops. Like, so what, is it 50 years? Is it 30 years? Is it 80 years? Well, if you've been close to a park for 80 years, then you get the right to say no one else is. Even though the public paid for the stadium, and yeah, I still stand by it. Like, Suncorp is far more seen as a heirloom of rugby league than any other stadium in Australia, really, in my opinion. Maybe that's a Queenslander coming out of me, but if they're willing to share with the Dolphins, then I don't see. And also, we have Magic Round there as well. Now, there was one good text that said the turf couldn't handle more than 2 games a week. That's from the Ipswich Bulldog. Now, if you wanted to have that argument with me, if you want to sit there and say the turf couldn't handle it, then that is a reasonable argument to have. Like, because that turf is terrible. So first of all, we've got to fix it. But that is a reasonable. If genuinely the report came back and said, mate, the ground at this stage cannot handle more footy, then I'd be more than willing to go, fair enough. When it can handle more footy, let's get some more games there. Got some more text. The Roosters don't own Allianz, so the government should allow whoever they want to use it. Are we for real? Comparing the Roosters' connection to Sydney Sports Ground site to the Broncos at Lang Park, you're starting to sound like Bulldog Richie. Mate, stick with soccer. I challenge anyone. If you were bringing fans of rugby league to Australia, be honest with yourself. Would you take them to Suncorp? Would that be the first on the list, or would you take him to Allianz? You know what the answer is to that. You know the answer to that. I get it. It's a Queenslander thing, but you know Suncorp is far higher on the list when it comes to its connection to rugby league. Just because something's been connected longer doesn't mean it's bigger. It just means it's been connected longer. That's all it is. Maestro, I can see you're holding back some laughter there.
No. Well, this is a new stadium, Kempy. It's been on that site, but yeah, you take them to Magic Round. That's where you take them to.
Yeah, take them to Magic Round at Suncorp.
They've taken the grand final out to Accor. So, as much as being a New South Welshman, I want to sit here. I think our stadium is now better than Suncorp. I will say that. And once they fix the turf in the summer, as they're meant to, I think it'll be up to global standards.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you in terms of the sheer link to rugby league that Suncorp has. It's pretty special.
It is our mecca, and it really is. It's that simple. I know New South Welshmen don't want to fully admit it, but it just is. It's that simple. Got a bunch of texts here. This is a passion. Combank shits all over Langpot, you nobody. Combank. Oh, there we go.
Good stadium.
Mate, if I'm a nobody, you're listening to me, bro. So what's going on there? You should change the channel, brother. Heirloom of rugby league, you're a flog. Oh, yeah. New South Wales, Queensland divide. It doesn't get any better. Listen, you guys are lying to yourself if you're telling me that Allianz Stadium is more renowned for rugby league than Suncorp. You are lying to yourself. Absolutely lying to yourself. Has plenty of history, and as you said, Maestro, I would say it deserves more reverence than what it's got, but it's not Suncorp. It's not Suncorp. No, the question is, would you take them to Bondi and Allianz, or would you take them up a muddy river to Suncorp? I would take them to Queensland every day of the week. Gold Coast is literally 50 minutes down the road. What are you talking about, bro? This is basically just New South Wales versus Queensland now.
It is. It's not state of origin time, everyone. Deep breaths.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Wildcard weekend. The idea is has the backing of Broncos CEO Dave Donaghy and South's boss Blake Solly, which would see the... beep, 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 you're reversing quick. What am I reversing on? Suncorp is the number one stadium in rugby league, and Gold Coast and Brisbane is way better than going to Bondi. There's no reversing there. Wildcard weekend. The argument stated by the pro-wildcard camp is that it would lessen the likelihood of players being rested by teams locked in the top 6 positions with a week off in the first week of the finals, giving them an opportunity to rest players then. The argument against is that only the Roosters would be the only team in the threat of dropping to play an away final in the first week if the system was implemented this season, and no team would be able to move into the top 10, meaning Dolphins and Seagulls would be likely to rest their stars. Yeah, like I like the idea of not necessarily a wild card weekend. I don't really understand the point of it. Like I maybe it is to give everyone a week off. The only problem with that is then if you're a top side that wins the first game in the top 4, I don't think you want to be having 2 weeks off out of a 4 or 5 week break. And also, like, I don't think it fixes the problem. The problem, in my opinion, with the NRL is it gets to about round 15 and most people just go, man, we're done. Whereas I feel like if you could take that like last 10 rounds or whatever it is, and whoever out of the bottom 8, gets the most points, they get that 9th spot. Because I think the problem is keeping people engaged for the back end of the season, not necessarily, rocking up for, we came 10th, we get that wild card weekend. I actually think it'd be better to go, because like imagine how good it'd be. Let's say you had a bunch of injuries and you started the season terribly and you're like sitting 15th or whatever, and then all your players come back in the back end of the season. For example, the Rabbitohs. Let's say all their players came back a few weeks ago. All of a sudden, they could be flying into that nice spot and go on a big run. And so that's where I feel like some kind of system that keeps everyone engaged in rugby league is going to be better than not. What do you reckon, Maestro?
I think we're going to get this naturally when the competition expands, right? And if they do get to Peter Volandi's great vision of 20 teams and teams playing in conferences, you will have this because teams will qualify for, finishing on top of their conference, and then you'll have to find a way to sort out the teams below them. I think we're naturally going to get to this. I don't think we need to bring it forward. I think the top 8 at the moment serves its purpose. It provides us 4 weeks of fantastic rugby league going into finals. Even the elimination finals last year, if you look at the Bulldogs Manly game, and biased as a Seagulls fan, but that was tremendous theatre.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to bring in this new week in advance. I think once we have expanded the competition and you're getting into that stage where you're looking to bring in more teams into the finals just to keep things relevant towards the end of the season, sure, do it then. But as we are at the moment, and maybe with the Perth Bears joining in 2 years, I still think in 18 teams, top 8 making the finals, you've had long enough to prove your wares. And the season will be condensed by then as well with the addition of the new teams because you're not having to pander to TV with broadcast rights and the amount of games that they need.
Yeah. And so are you saying you would do wildcard?
I like the idea of a wildcard round. Say you'd split the 20 teams into 5 groups of 4 conferences of 5, Then you're having the top 4 making the finals the first week, and then you're playing eliminators between that to sort of sort out the rest of the competition. I think that works nicely, but I don't think there's any need to manufacture it before then. Yeah,
okay. So would you be a fan of the other idea of, like, I don't know, the last 10 rounds, the bottom 8 side, whoever gets the most points in those 10 rounds, they get the 9th spot?
Again, you're manufacturing it.
Okay.
I don't think there's any need. Do you think there's a need?
I do. I just think that people disengage.
Get there by condensing the competition. That's the answer to solving this problem, not,
okay, so you're saying
bringing everyone back and say, hey, we're starting a new mini season after Origin.
Okay, so you're saying because if you took it to 20 rounds rather than 27, because the season is so short, you're really only going to have
the issue.
Yeah, you
Every
really
game has more jeopardy.
Yeah, okay, I don't mind that. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Like I've always felt they needed to shorten the season. Anyway, like 27 is like way too long. But yeah, you're right because if it was 20, let's say there were 20 rounds, even if you're like 2 wins outside the 8, you'd be hanging over every result in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Whereas when it's 27 rounds, if you're sitting at round 15, 2 wins outside the 8, you're like, if we just win, like if we lose one more game, like there's no way we're going to catch all the way up at 27 with all the points people can get.
I think the NFL is the benchmark on this.
Yep.
Like they've just gone to 18 weeks and they're like, oh my goodness, we're playing this extra game. But it really does make each game that much more important. If you put it in percentage terms, it's like 33% more important because of the less games you're playing. So yeah, less games, more jeopardy, more drama.
Yeah, I don't mind that, especially if we can get to 20. Because then it's even as well. Everyone's playing each other once or twice. Would it be twice?
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah,
listen, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I think that's probably your best bet. And you wouldn't want to rush anything in. As I said, I'm with you in the sense of the wild card, like giving people that finish 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th the same opportunity feels a bit unfair.
And I don't think it solves anything in terms of the resting because of that argument that's put forward. Like, no one's moving in the top 10 this week. Even if you are there, I think that you just extend the problem, if that makes sense, down to the teams lower down the table.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Transfer news. Tigers table extension to Taylor May. Look, I think this is a no-brainer. Like, geez, he's been good. He's just been so bloody good since he's come back. I can't believe how quickly he hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You know, he'd been out of the game for, a year or so, so he hadn't done the preseason. Wouldn't been training anywhere near as hard as the boys were training each weekend, and he just comes straight back in and kills it.
If he stays on the straight and narrow, can you see him as an Origin player?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mate, he is so talented. Taylor May, I think people forgot he was touted as the next big thing at the Penrith Panthers. And lastly, South confirmed 1-year extension for Cody Walker. I think this is right from South. I just think it'd be way too early to be moving off Cody Walker. 1-year deal. It's probably a reduced deal as well. Good for everyone, I think. Good for everyone.
How do their halves look just quickly next year?
Yeah. I mean, it looks
Walker
like
playing a bench role.
Maybe. I mean, they've stuck with him play off the bench this week too. It is an interesting setup. Like if you take him off the field for that first 20 where it's all a bit chaos, and then you bring him on, maybe.
And Wayne's been keen on Jackie White and coming into 5/8 recently. I think he's done a good job.
Yep. Alrighty, we are going to head to a break. After the break, we've got plenty more to talk about, so stay tuned. And we've got Horo joining us as well. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Captain's Run, brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions, save more money at Chemist Warehouse. Oh, yeah, the texts are flying in. The lines have been divided. It is Queensland versus New South Wales. No, it's good stuff. Love the banter. Keep texting in, 0457 736 736. Got to text your Dogs. They get a B for the season. Have achieved consistency as a club. On and off the field, we are flying. Whatever happens in semi-finals, I'm happy as long as we keep improving. Good signs, no idiots at that club, which is an important thing. That's Ari, go the Dogs. I think that's a pretty fair assessment, man. Like, I really do. I understand as fans, we want results right now. But I'm preaching to the choir here, and I'm saying the obvious, but mate, it is so freaking hard to win a premiership. Like, the amount of resources and time and money. So if you're finishing 4th or 5th and you're consistently doing that, you're giving yourself such a good chance to take that next step. And I just think that when the Bulldogs, they aren't the finished product yet. They really aren't. They're going to have money to be able to recruit big come soon. When you actually look at their salary cap and the fact that they've got no $1 million players, they've only got a couple of players over 600K. This isn't the final form of the Dogs. We could see next year them go out and buy a guy worth $1 million. That could potentially happen. So that's what's exciting for the Doggies heading forward. I'm a Canberra supporter, only because Mal Meninga was my favourite player when growing up. Graded A now, but A+ if we win the comp. Wazza Dazza in Beacon Hill. Oh, man, to be honest, look, if they go loss, then obviously that will change quite a lot. But if they get into a grand final, even if they get to a prelim, I would consider an A+ for the Raiders. Man, this was supposed to be a rebuild year. They were the most back for the wooden spoon, and they make a prelim. like that's an A+ for me. Like, and I think they can make a prelim, and I think they also could win it. If they win it, it'll be one of the greatest turnarounds all time. Like, seriously incredible if they win it. And just finally, hey, Kempy, what would you rate the Panthers season and where do you expect them to go in the finals? Wacko Jacko the Panther. Mate, they're a premiership threat? Absolutely. Like, are they as sharp as years gone by? Maybe not. Biggest question is they've got a lot of rookies heading into finals footy. But, mate, I would rate their season outstanding. Because you have to put it in its context. Like, they've gone into 5 grand finals in a row. Of course they're going to be a little bit tired. So I give them a pass definitely for the year so far. Alrighty, head to a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We're here for Chemist Warehouse. Get discounted prescriptions, save more money at Chemist Warehouse. The Skipper Scope, he's with us. There you go, brother.
The Beak, mate, always a pleasure. Great to be here. And ready to go, mate. What do you got for me?
Ready to rip in?
Ready to rip in and a tearing.
Oh, well, we got some, before we get into the previews, it's Kieran Foran, mate. It's Kieran Foran. It's been, because the Titans are a smaller club, been some news coming out about blokes drinking toilet water and all that kind of stuff. It's been kind of lost in the noise, but we've got one of the great players of his generation about to retire.
One of the all-time great humans. Look, what a stint, mate. Like from where he was, and I've told this story a number of times. When I returned from playing over in the Super League, it was in and around the end of his tenure at the Bulldogs. And I remember him sitting down and having a chat to me. He's like, mate, like the body's busted.
Yeah,
I'm done. My head's not in it anymore. Like,
that's the doggies.
I've lost the love. I've lost the love.
Yep.
And to be able to get from that point, and I love where he's at now in that part of his life as well, where he's able to tell these stories about his journey. Mate, yeah, he was down and out. And now that was 7 or 8 years ago. 7 years ago. And he's one of those guys too, as you know, Kempy would have, spoke to a lot of people that have been around him. He's everyone's favourite teammate.
Yeah.
Like, he's as tough as nails.
Yep.
He's like just a good human to be around. So I did notice that in the presser on the weekend, Tino and Desi were Tino mentioned that, we got one last crack for Des, and Des quickly said and Foz too.
Yeah.
So, I know those two have got a really close relationship, probably more so than any other coach-to-player relationship that I've seen before. So, in a way, the circumstances aren't great for Desi, but there's a part of it's like a bit poetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
That those two could, potentially be, going out together at the same time. So, I'm heading up there on Sunday. Looking forward to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to go to the game, but we've got a function on to celebrate his career on the Sunday. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, man. What an incredible career, and just typified the toughness that some halves can bring through the game. Like, halves are often seen as like the cherry on top, the guys that have all the good ball playing, that you create the tries, and the middles are seen as tough. But he was one of the real tough guys when it comes to halves. Like, one of the very few halves that back rowers would think twice about running at, because they knew at the very least he's throwing his body out. Yeah, he's not going to step out of the way, and it was almost to his detriment. So like, I often think of guys, especially guys like Foran, like if they had started their career today where kickers and halves are just so protected. Like, you can barely touch them. Imagine how much different his career might have been in regards to all the injuries that he copped. Because, he came through at a time, him and Thurston, that if you're a half, you're not coming out of a game without your ribs absolutely stinging every single game, every game. He
said something about that recently in an interview, and people just not knowing the career and how tough he was. You get people, saying certain things. Oh, you're saying that now because you're retiring. No, he's saying that because he lived it. Right? And he's getting to the end of his career now where he understood. And there's also, like, with the toughness stuff about, being able to, defend really strongly early in his career. The best part about being a back rower with him is he never gave me the ball if I was in a worse position. And like, as back rowers, for a lot of other halves, it is you just run as hard as you can into a potential hole as best you can. Fozzie never gave me it in a potential hole. He always gave it to me where I was going to find my front. He's just, he's awesome to play with, and congratulations. I hope they can get a win for him in their last game and avoid that spoon.
Yeah, it'd be a good way to send him off. Definitely deserves it. Absolute legend of a human being. Mate, Broncos v the Storm. Broncos v the Storm. Is it strange to you that the Broncos might make the top 4 when you consider like the middle of the year, how much of a disaster it apparently was going to be?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no, because of all the drama, the carry-on.
Yeah.
But also the closeness of the comp. And we were saying this, Kempy, like we were talking a lot about, like not declaring anyone, but also not throwing anyone under the bus because all it took was 2 or 3 wins before you completely change your mindset with teams. So for that part of it, no. I'd imagine that you've already talked about the Shibasaki.
A little bit, but love to get your thoughts on Michael Maguire doing that.
Love it.
Yeah, same.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I love Shibasaki and the journey and what he's been able to do this year. But there are standards at clubs, and all the best teams have them. I hope he's given the chance to at least force his way back in, because I think Shibasaki is required for them to go on a finals run.
Yeah.
I think he's a better option than
Arthur's on the wing and Marin in centres.
Dean Mariner in the centres.
Yep.
So
he's just that big body for him. Like, he just gets through a bunch of work. If you actually go and look at his average metres, it's quite up there with the best centres in the game.
Yeah.
He's such a big body, Shibasaki.
So he will be missed. And danger. Craig Bellamy's presser, he was furious.
Oh, mate.
So I'm expecting, with Jerome Hughes back, close to a full deck of cards, bar Harry, who's still got one more game left for that suspension. Geez, this is going to be... there's a word I can see. I've thought about this as well. Teams 4, 5 and 6 all losing over the weekend.
Yeah, which would put Broncos in with their points differential. I reckon if you probably... I mean, the Sharkies are probably someone I'm looking at going, they're in a box seat to get that 4 spot.
Well, because they get the benefit of being able to watch this game. Yeah. And if they know it's in front of them...
It's like a grand final for them.
It's going to add an extra 5%.
Mate, you tell those boys, like, it really can... And then I would still consider the Sharkies season a pass mark. But if you're telling them, boys, if we finish top 4, like, no one can say this is a bad year for us. Like, that's a huge motivator. Just 80 minutes of your best ever to get into the top 4, and then we quiet all the noise. Like, that's a huge motivator, especially if you know that the Broncos have lost. I think the Manly are just going to be too strong. I think DCE's last game is just going to be too emotional for them. But I'm looking at the Sharkies and going, like, yes, the Doggies are, they're third or whatever, but they're not unbeatable, at all. Like, they've been shown that they can have some vulnerability. So I love the fact that we've still got so much movement on the ladder, and we're not even talking about the 8th position with the last game of the season. And what's great about it too, geez, it changes a lot. Like, if Warriors and Sharkies get into that 4 spot, I can't see them beating the Raiders. But if Broncos land in that 4 spot, like, I can see a world where they jag a sneaky win over them down in the nation's capital, and then all of a sudden they take someone to Suncorp, and Storm will most likely be on the other side of the table by then.
Yep.
Playing a Broncos side with this much talent, you just don't know what's going to happen at Suncorp.
They're the wild card, because they've got the ability. Out of all the teams, I still think fully fit, they're the most talented. Not the best, the most talented.
Yeah.
So, but the thing that's always been holding them back, and they've looked really good in the last month, and they haven't been doing as much, is beating themselves. But we haven't seen them in high-pressure situations yet against really top-notch teams. So this is a great test. This is what we'll see, because I thought they were on their way to a really strong performance against Melbourne, down in Melbourne about 5 or 6 weeks ago, before Reynolds and Ezra Mam did their Hemis. So this is the litmus test for the Broncos for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty, Manly versus the Warriors, and we've actually got some audio from DC on playing his last game for Manly.
I mean, definitely been thinking about it this week at different times, which has been good. So when I have wandered down that memory lane, it's all been pretty good, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, DC. You know what I want him to do? Is, like, at the end of the game when he's getting interviewed, he gives his first ever press conference where he just goes, he loses the measured DCE and he just goes...
The politician DCE.
He goes, F you, this is how I feel about you, this is how I feel about you. I'm the man, I want all these Queensland titles. Like, I just want him to unleash. Just once.
You need to come and have a few beers with us one day then, Kempy, when we're behind closed doors, because I've seen that version of it before. And not just specifically at Manly, when, mate, sometimes, and that's why I sort of find myself laughing there, because, look, there's so much truth in what he's saying, right? Like, what a journey that he's been on. and all that. And I really don't think he's got to the point, and even before making the decision where he got to the point where there's no animosity towards Manly and understanding where is it his career. We got young Joey Walsh on the bench too. I'm excited to see what he looks like for Manly. But as you know, when you get close to someone and you got a mate, and sometimes you had a few beers, the truths do come out, and and I know a few, and maybe when he's done, I think he'll be a really good guest to get on a podcast or something like
Levels
that.
Network exclusive.
Oh,
DCE.
I don't know. Like I don't think I'd like to be
Because he's mate. It's a bit weird.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And because again, I'd like to have him someone semi-neutral.
Yeah, okay.
Be able to sit down and have a chat with him.
All right. DC, you've already locked in, mate. So you're going to be coming on Bloke in a Bar when you retire. It's already locked in. You have no say in it. I'll give you a few beers. Let you chirp up, whoever you want to get, mate. But what a career, DCE. Like at Manly Seagulls, just so many years of high-quality footy. So many years of high-quality footy. Oh, here we go. Bloody Brian Fletcher. We're looking at him in the
Look at these two
through the
burgers.
glass.
South Sydney Roosters. Speaking of Cherry Evans, look.
Oh, okay. That's not meant for radio, what we just saw from Brian Fletcher.
Yeah. No, that's not radio worthy.
In regards to this game, look, it's just going to be so tough for the Warriors. They've got so many injuries. I'd love to say what we've said about the Sharkies, how they could just get up and somehow get a win. But I just think I just can't see this Manly side not going out, not trying to send DC out a winner. I just can't see it.
Well, just the form lines have been so much better for Manly compared to the Warriors as well. So that's something to take on board with this game. A few other guys that are moving on. He's only had a short stint, but Jazz Tavunga's been highly entertaining.
The cheek clapper,
mate. He is a proper giggle. He is, and he'll be going up against his ex-team. So
Jazz clapping cheeks to Vunga.
But it's the same thing for me. The Warriors are going to be sitting in a hotel room together in Manly Thursday night and watching this game.
Yep.
Watching the game for the Melbourne Storm and the Broncos, and they'll know if they have an opportunity to fight for a top 4 spot or not. So they will be in the driver's seat at that point to apply the pressure to Cronulla Sharks.
Yep.
So I'm expecting just a desperate team. I sort of said this. I think I've seen enough of a sample size with Tanner Boyd to say that in order to win a game like this or a finals game, I think they probably need Tomato Martin.
Okay, that's fair. In regards to another player, I can't wait to see Sam Healy starting.
Yeah.
So talented, offers a real point of difference. A little bit similar to Egan to a degree, like just that X factor out of 9. Now, granted, there's still a better side, obviously, with Egan there, but Sam Healy, every time he's played, he's been impressive for the Warriors.
Well, before that, I seen that Egan had dropped out. My change was going to be Tomato Martin to 7.
Yep.
Sam Healy from 18th man promoted to 14 to give it like a little 1-2 punch with Egan, and then obviously Egan wasn't. So because Egan dropped out, I've seen the world in which, all right, you just keep Tanner Boyd at least for this week and see how it goes. But Sam Healy, he looks like a real play for him.
Yeah, man.
And you know what I guess the hardest part about it is, I think Wade Egan is arguably one of their most important playmakers. Like, I need to see him doing more with the way that the team's set up without Metcalf and Mitchie Barnett. So that makes it problematic about how you work those two in together.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got plenty more to talk about and plenty of games to preview. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, Roosters v South, Friday, 8 p.m. Allianz Stadium, the historied Allianz Stadium, may I say. Roosters team news, Sam Walker replaces Sandon Smith in the halves after recovering from concussion, and the only change to the team that beat the Storm last weekend. South team news, Cam Murray is named on the interchange for his only NRL game this season. Jack White returns from suspension. Latrell Mitchell is still out with a back injury. Tallis Duncan reverts to the back row with Host shifting to the bench. What do you reckon here, Scope?
AJ scores 3.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Matty,
Surely.
You like that one? Look at Matty. He just sits there on his laptop the whole time until he hears something that he loves coming out of the skipper, and he's 3 at the vest. He got up.
Mate, he's been quoted saying he does want people to run on the field.
I want people to run on the field.
I honestly reckon it would be embarrassing if it didn't, because we're going to let the AFL do it in our state too. We're going to let that happen. Come on, man. And also, Wasn't that just for 10,000 goals or something?
Yeah.
1,000 goals or 10,000 goals?
1,000 goals.
1,000 goals.
goals.
10,000 sounded a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas this is for the most ever tries.
Yeah.
So that's way more important.
Way more important.
So, listen, I'm not going to say to run out there. Look, put it this way, don't run out there. Please don't run out there and make this incredible moment happen.
What do you think is you know who threw out I've seen Webby's conspiracy theory around it. And his conspiracy theory was like, not enough will run out there. You know how... Yeah, have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
It was a good one. So he's like, with the AFL, it's such a big thing. Everyone runs out there. It's a packed crowd. Like, imagine if just like 2,000 people ran out onto the field and it looked kiddies. like the celebration just was like, it was average, and we're like, oh, pretty cool. Some people were out there, and the players don't even really have to get off the field because there's not enough.
Yeah.
And we look lesser than AFL.
No, yeah.
I like that take.
I don't mind that.
like
I
that
don't
take.
mind that conspiracy theory, but I do think that, mate, we're herd animals. You see 1,000 people running on, 10,000 are running on.
Fair.
All you got to do is walk down the street, look back, and start sprinting, and people will just start running with you.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
Alex Johnston, if he goes over, if you just get enough people across the thing, what would be funny, and I think Matty Johns brought this up, is if he scores, everyone runs on. Then we've got to wait for try confirmed.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's something that them like AFL don't have to deal with, right? and it gets overturned. Imagine who is that? Let me.
Oh,
So
you're just giving
Liam
it, aren't
Kennedy. Imagine if Liam Kennedy on his third try finds a reason. Like, imagine if it's something like the Warriors game on the weekend where it's like a finger.
Oh.
And it's like you can see it graze the finger barely, and you just go, didn't see it.
Didn't see it.
Didn't see
Didn't
it.
see it. I just give it. Surely you just give it. And go.
Like maybe just say Jack Whiten goes up for a crossfield kick, and it just like flicks his finger, and Liam Kennedy's like didn't see it. Didn't see it.
Oh man. Okay, Roosters versus South. Who you got in this one?
Roosters. Yeah, I hate that Cam Murray's playing.
Yeah, so do I. I don't like it either.
I know it's the Book of Feuds and all that, and he's a champion player, and in no way am I doubting how diligent he would have been throughout the process.
Yep.
But this is a meaningless game aside from that it's the Sydney Roosters and you hate them.
Yep.
Like, his health is more important than one game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And also, like, if, touch wood, that he does get injured, there'll always be, did he come back too early? And people go, but he could get injured in any game. But it's like, if he gets injured in round 1 next year, it's never going to be, did he come back too early? It's going to be like, no, for sure, he did a whole preseason, he did everything he could. Whereas the question is just going to linger. In a year that the questions have already been extremely loud and pointed to South of what is going on with your injuries, it doesn't help. It doesn't help the Rabbitohs right now that they're sending Murray out for one game for the rest of the season.
If there is one pro that I can see from it, is that it's actually on the field, because more of South's injuries seem to happen at
training.
It happened at training and Heffron than actually on the field.
That's true.
That is one positive.
That is, yeah, absolutely. Look, I think Roosters will be too strong. The big out for me is Latrell. I'm still shocked that Latrell is out. I thought there was a bit of smoke and mirrors that Latrell would play, and it was just smoke and mirrors for such a big clash. But I'm just really concerned with Trell now, because it's like he has been in and out and in and out. I think he's played 11 games over each year.
Yeah, I've seen a stat on that.
And then a lot of soft tissue and straining of the back.
Well, this one's the back.
Yeah.
And they just don't seem to go away. Do they? The back injuries, they linger.
They are tricky.
And he's such a freak athlete. It's almost like a Ferrari. Like, you just need it so finely tuned to do what he does.
I'm the same the same view that I had on Turbo, which I still have, even though he's played a couple of good games at fullback for Manly. For those two, I would lean towards making them full-time centres for at least a season.
Yeah.
Before I
I'm with you.
go back to playing fullback.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just just got to get him on the field.
Reduce the load.
Yeah, just get him on the field, get him at centre. And also, the thing with Trell, in good ball, just get him at fullback, because he doesn't do a lot of running in good ball. It's all ball playing for him.
And Crichton's been doing that hybrid model at the Bulldogs recently as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I know it's a bit boring for Trell, but he's a leader now. He's a senior player. He's such a key member.
Needs to be out on the field.
He just got to be on the field, unfortunately. Yeah, look, I think Roosters get this one done. Alrighty, Dragons v the Panthers. No changes for the Dragons. Cleary restores the majority of his starters to the team, making 16 changes last week. Brian To'o Martin will have another week off ahead of finals. I love this with Brian To'o. giving him another week off.
Yeah.
I've been actually calling for a while. The Panthers need to give him a week off. Just because, like, bro, he has been redlining and giving them 9 out of 10s for about 5 years now.
Yeah, but like for him and Liam Martin specifically, those two look like those are the two out of the big, 5, 6 that they've got.
Yep.
That have been really carrying injuries.
Yep.
So yeah, I like the spell. The I guess the biggest tick for all the, I guess, wear and tear that these Panthers players have had over the last 5 years, because Nathan's missed some footy, he's actually looking the best out of all of them.
Yeah, funnily enough.
Like,
absolutely.
and that's super dangerous for everyone else.
Yep.
Because the one part where I really was like, oh wow, he's fully back, is when he started taking over the kicking straight after Origin. Remember when there's all that chat about the groin in that?
Yeah, during Origin, his groin was apparently done.
And then obviously in the Titans game, he starts kicking not too long after. So I was like, ooh, that's danger signs for everyone else.
Man, what I love about this season is, like, the final series is just wide open. Like, whereas every other year it's been Penrith and someone. So got halfway through the year, it was Penrith and Broncos. The year before that, we knew it was going to be Penrith Eels. You know what I'm saying? Whereas this year, like,
or Souths that year.
Yeah, or Souths.
Yep.
Whereas this year, like, I genuinely, like, yeah, there are favourites. Like, Storm are favourites for me, then probably Raiders behind them.
Yep.
But, like, I'm not very confident in anything.
No, not at all. No. So, yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm Canberra, Storm, and then I start, working my way back down. But I've still got 6 that can win it.
Yeah.
Including
which
the
is
Panthers.
Awesome. Whereas before, you going into final series, you knew, like, you pretty much knew who was going to be in the business end. Like, you pretty much knew.
I reckon it makes the top 4 even more important this year to avoid playing an extra week.
Yep.
So just, for example, the Broncos year, remember when they played the Warriors and the Melbourne Storm? The Panthers and Broncos towered them up first week of finals. Then they took care of the other 5th and 6th or whoever come out of the second week of finals comfortably. And then the other team took care of them comfortably again after it.
Yep.
That won't happen this year.
Nah, no way. No way. So, yeah, I cannot wait. All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got plenty more to talk about. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. All right, let's get straight into it. Titans v Tigers, Saturday, 5:30, Seabus Super Stadium. The historic Seabus Super Stadium. Titans team news. Carter Gordon and Cooper Bye, son of Marcus, will make their NRL debuts. A shuffled backline sees Kinney at fullback, AJ Brimson in the centres and Sammy on the wing. De Groot and Francis drop out. And Tigers team news. Skelton is replaced by debutant Makassini, and Seyfarth returns from suspension. What do you reckon here?
Hiamasi Makassini. Huge raps on this kid, right?
Yeah, a lot of talk.
I've been speaking to a few people in and around the Tigers about him. They're really excited. Bit of a rugby union convert as well. Played rugby union and league growing up. It's good to see.
Yeah.
I've been impressed by the Tigers, Kempy.
Me too.
I think, their best lineup, you add Kai Pearce-Paul into that back row, move Sione back into the front. I think he's a better middle. If they can get, more, just better minutes out of Royce Hunt, and if he can just, flick a switch, there's so many nice pieces for him. And I thought they went, like, they're not getting bullied anymore.
Yeah.
They played the Canberra Raiders, the top team in the competition, and took them all the way to about 65 minutes.
Yeah. Before
the Raiders showed the class and kicked away. But there's a full change in their mindset, and you've got to give a lot of props to the May brothers and Jerome Luai for that. I think they've completely changed the mindset of that franchise and club.
Yeah, because you're right. Like their mindset used to be, we'll see how we go in the first 20 minutes. If it's not looking good, pack her up. We're done here. Yeah. I thought on the weekend, like, they went with them for 60 minutes, but, like, they still didn't even play as good as they could have. Like, they made a lot of errors coming out of their own end. I thought there was a period about 10 minutes after half-time where they defended their line, like, set after set after set. And old Tigers would have gone to water there. Like, honestly, 2 sets and they're done. Mate, they hung in there for many, many minutes against a very big and powerful forward pack. So I'm with you, mate. I think the Tigers have made, strength after strength. Really, the only worry I have for next year is, like, they had all this motivation to play like this. Like, everything was their backs against the wall this year. 3 spoons, negative headlines, Galvin leaving, whatever. Now, how do you motivate yourself without all that reason to be motivated? You know what I mean? That's going to be the tough thing for them to back it up.
See, that's
year.
where I think's changed with them. Like, for whether you feel that way or not, whether you look at their lineup and think they're a premiership winning. I think that's just how Jerome thinks. I just think that, and like he's their leader.
Yeah.
And I think because that's the way he's built, feels like it definitely rubs off, and he's got that strong relationship with Terrell and Talon, and they're just attacking games like they're the best team, and whether they are or not, like in their minds they are, and that's all that matters. And I think that's what is going to help them progress next year. In saying all that, I hope they lose because my mate Foss is playing in his last ever game, and I hope he goes out a winner and avoids the spoon. So I'm on the Tigers and biased.
Okay. I will say
biasedly on the Titans.
I will say really interested to see how Carter Gordon goes.
Yep.
Pretty highly touted from rugby union. Cooper Byer, he was really good in the under-19s Queensland game. So I'm really interested to see how they go for the Titans. Okay, Dogs v Sharks. Tuala starts in place of Kiraz. Kikau returns. Curran goes to the bench. Jesse Raymond returns from a thumb injury, the only change from last week. How do you see this one?
All the criticism that you got on the Bulldogs is around having a small pack, right? That small pack, can they match it against the big packs? This is arguably the biggest pack in the finals.
Yeah, it's a big pack.
Not the most powerful. Like they don't have like a Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan mobile big pack.
Yep.
They've just got size. It's like completely different styles of forward packs. Which one's going to hold up? We'll see. They've been pretty good games over the last couple of years, stylistically. So I think this is final starts early for both of these two teams heading into it, and I feel like the winner out of this game can make the most noise.
Okay.
In the finals.
So you got Sharkies could make a dent.
So Sharkies are the same. Like even not like going back on what I just said. I'm just like these two teams for me have huge question marks.
Yeah, okay.
And I've had my doubts on both of them for a while now.
Yeah. Okay.
But one of them will emerge, and one of them, in my opinion, will become a pain in the ass and probably eliminate a team that I really think can win it.
Okay.
Like the Broncos, like the Roosters, like the Panthers, like the Storm.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulldogs will
Jag a big win.
Against a team and then lose the following week.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, you go back last year, the Cowboys finished. Was it last year? The Cowboys finished 5th or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, something.
And they beat them in the second week of the.
And
finals.
I see. There you go.
Yeah.
So I thought Cowboys were a more dangerous team to go further, but it didn't matter because Cronulla knocked them out.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
that's fair.
They were always, in my opinion, they were always going to get beaten the following week anyway.
Do you take anything out of? And I thought this was really smart from Ivan Cleary last week. They just kept kicking it out to upset Bulldogs' momentum because they want ball in play, quick play the ball, small forward pack. Do you think teams might start using that?
No, I think that was less to do with the opposition and more to do with his own cavalry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I loved it tactically.
Yeah, good.
It was so good, and it was frustrating. I thought the Bulldogs were awesome last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speak
to me.
I've gone against consensus.
Okay.
It is really difficult to go up against a Reggie's team like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like really difficult, and especially early on when they applied pressure and you had these half chances. Like Dane Laurie, that's one of the best games I've ever seen from Dane Laurie.
He was so
right?
good.
So when things like that when moments like that start happening, you start second guessing yourself. You've got all this doubt.
Get impatient as well.
You get impatient. You try to go outside of the system.
Yep.
I thought they were professional. They did enough to win the game, and I think it will serve them well. Because that's a tough ask. Like I know it's a Reggie's team, but those boys got nothing to lose. They had house money.
Yep.
They were all, fighting for a potential Panthers jersey in the future. Like there's so much good things that Panthers New South Wales Cup, those cup plays put on tape, that it was. I thought it was a good win from the Dogs.
Oh, okay, I don't mind that. I will say, I don't care about the score. Because I'm with you on. I actually agree with you on that. It's such a tough game. Like if you don't get those early points, it's very easy to go, holy shit, we're about to lose to a bunch of reserve graders, and you panic.
In front of your fans?
In front of your fans.
Yeah.
But I will say, so I was never, the points was never a concern for me. Whether they win by 30 or 10, I don't care. My biggest concern is I just felt they looked clunky. Like I felt Galvin, a lot of energy, but looked panicky at times. He did ease into the game a little bit, but I just felt like, I feel like they're making too many changes too quickly with the Hayward at 9 and Galvin at 7, and they're not finding their timing yet. That was my negative.
Yeah, that's fair.
From it.
Look, and in saying that too, like in defence, ever so slightly, they're just a messy team too.
Yeah.
Like they want to beat you by strangling you defensively. That's why they made the decision to go to Galvin, because they were just winning games gritty and ugly. And then like teams were conceding at the start of the year because they're like, this is just becoming too tough.
Yep.
The Bulldogs are just attacking you. So they didn't actually beat you with like silky shape at the start of the year. They just,
Fatigued you.
It got you in a hole and then were able to kick away late.
Okay. We are going to head to a break. After the break, we got more games like the Dolphins and Raiders and Eels and Knights. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Alrighty, Dolphins v Raiders at the famous KO Stadium, Redcliffe. Fini Fuaki returns in place of the injured Lemuelu in the only change. Raiders team news, Ricky Stewart rests KO Weeks, Stewart, Strange, Fogarty, Tarpanair, Starling, Sasangi, Papali'i, Hoskins, Hudson Young with the minor premiership secured last weekend. Chevy Stewart will start at fullback. Cook partners Ethan Sanders in the halves. Nicholson returns in the back row with 3 debutants coming onto the bench. What do you reckon about this one, mate?
Probably the Dolphins because of the injuries, because of the players rested, sorry.
I know that hesitation because I'm the same. I reckon too many people are writing off the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm not nowhere near as confident
as
I should be on this because what about the Bra? How didn't the Bra get a rest? The horse
Big Red.
The Big Red.
I said earlier in the week, if I go into a season and Big Red and Ricky Stewart like each other, I don't want a bar of them. If they hate each other at the start of the season, they're most likely making the top 4.
So good.
He made him captain. Bro, he's captain. Bro, they hated each other at the start of the season. He's now captain of the club.
I've said this before. So with Ricky, there is a pattern. Love, and then there's a hate, right? And that makes them work for everything that they've got to sort of it's not even love at the start. It's to prove himself. Then there's a little bit of friction, and then normally they're good. He went through 2 full cycles of that horse, bro. He's been through 2. And
Mate,
now I'm worried about him if he's skipper because he feels like he's on the other end of a cycle where there's going to be dramas because he's not $1 million front row hybrid lock in a year's time or something like that. I feel like
mate.
They'll come to blows again.
Mate, he was a couple of weeks away from signing with the Bulldogs a few years ago.
Yeah. Did you see that they didn't even recognise his 100 games throughout the year because he played like those 1 or 2 games at the Bulldogs?
No.
Didn't you see that?
No, I didn't see.
It's so Ricky. It's so horse, bro. So I think it was because it was Papa's big game too.
Okay.
So it was big. It was Papa's big milestone game. So one of the journos asked him, and he's like, "Nah, he had those 2 games at the Bulldogs. They don't count. They don't count."
Didn't Ricky Stewart play for the Dogs?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but it's like they just don't want to even just recognise that part where he was just because remember it was a COVID thing too.
Yeah.
Like it was during that situation where they were struggling for numbers, and I just found that didn't get enough noise. And I remember just watching that, going, "This is hilarious,
mate." And we got a text here. I was about to bring it up as well. He's also had massive issues with Tarpanair.
Yeah.
He's 2 best forwards right now. He's had massive issues with it. I reckon they need to create like a documentary in Notebook, kind of inspired by the Notebook, but it's between Ricky Stewart and Big Red, especially if they win a premiership.
Oh.
And the final scene can be them like hugging, winning a premiership.
Well, Raiders have been my tip since Magic Round, and a huge part of that. I just want to see Ricky win the grand final and just go nuts.
Oh, bro.
And, be crying and wrestling. He's have his son. It's most likely going to be Jed if they win as well. Because Xavier Savage.
Yep.
I'm on the Raiders.
Yeah,
so.
Mate. Of all teams outside the Broncos, I want to win. It's the Raiders.
Yep.
I want to win. Matter of fact, we just got Maestro just messages. Sticky played 40 games for the Bulldogs.
Yeah. He was, Sticky was playing for the Bulldogs when Mace first started, I believe.
No way.
Yeah.
Far out. That is so good. Okay, Eels versus Knights. Who you got here, mate?
Just seen more out of the Eels. Finishing at home. I know they're just putting together a nice little run to go into the break now, and there'd be nothing better than going into the 2026 season with 3 wins in a row.
Yeah, I think they've already confirmed it, but I do think just an extra little win here. They'll be going into next year going, we're a top 8 side. Like, if Mitchell Moses plays for us, we're a top 8 side.
Top 8 ambitions.
And I will say, I really respect this from Riles. Like, last game, he moves Brown back to 6. I just think that's a sign of respect for Brown. Like, you've been here for a while. Like, yeah, when the season matters, obviously I'm going to do what's best for the team. But the last game, move you back to 6. show you some respect as you leave. I like that from Riles.
This is a sign of the humility of Dylan Brown during these times as well.
Yeah.
So he could have really, thrown the toys out of the cot.
Yeah.
Been, he's on $1 million. He's on what, 1.3 or whatever moving forward.
Yeah.
Like how he's remembered at Parramatta Eels could have been completely different to the way that he's handled himself during this period.
That's fair.
And because of that, I think Jason Riles has rewarded him, and I'm stoked for him because there were some nice moments with Joash and Mitch. And they put, because Mitch is most likely going to be part of an Ashes tour, the combinations are even more important heading into next year.
True.
But I really do think it's a sign of respect from both Riles to Brown, and then also what Brown's been that has given Riles during this period where he hasn't been a part of their 17 because Jason has been looking at 2026.
And he hasn't caused any dramas in the media. Could have been a massive distraction.
Yeah, and he must have just been awesome at training. He must have really been helping Joash and Isaiah Yongi out behind the scenes. So, the Knights, despite the scorelines of the last 2 weeks, they've been brave. They try to ambush both the Broncos and Sharks and were close, but they've ran out of juice.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to head to a break. After a break, we're going to wrap the show up. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. I got some texts here. Beacon Scope. Ricky Stewart also coached the Bulldogs Jersey Flex side in 2001 and won the premiership before moving on to the Roosters coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a deal. Bulldog Bob. Wow. So is there some old blood there?
I think the animosity is just where...
Because Horsburgh played for someone else.
No, because they were angry at each other for a bit, and I think that was the club that he was going to go. So
yeah,
Ricky's
okay.
I think it's something to do with that.
Oh, okay. So he went through Horsburgh's phone and found the girl that he was texting.
Yeah, maybe.
And he's like, you know what?
Yeah, the ex or
the future person that could have taken his role.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Kempy Brown is at 6 because he's letting Joash play a semi-final for New South Wales Cup, the Dirty Eel. But also, what about... I can't believe I'm getting his name now. The other half that plays with Mitchell Moses.
Hawkins?
Yeah. What about him?
Yeah, true. Yeah, he could have been. Or was he...
Injured, maybe.
Would he be eligible for the New South Wales Cup as well? I think he's rewarding Dill.
I think so too.
I think he's rewarding
I think so too. Alrighty, we're gonna leave. So stay for the run home. Fletcher's up next. Thanks, Scope, for coming on. Make sure to give the Levels Network podcast a follow, and we'll see you next week.